Hello, family. How you guys doing today? I know you're doing well. I know everybody is healthy and well and just living the life. So, welcome to Talking After Dark. I'm your host, of course, and let's entitle this video The First Date. So, as you prepare to make this first date with your guy or girl, the person that you've been talking to on the phone for the last however long, which brings about the question: how long do you communicate with this person by texting and by phone conversations before you plan the first date? Is there a guideline? Is there a standard of time or measure that we are supposed to adhere to before we establish the first date? Well, there isn't. There's no written rule. The rule is when you feel comfortable. If being comfortable is a month, 6 months, 8 months, whatever that is, then that's the guideline that you follow. So when you follow your guideline and you establish this first date, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're hoping to see and you're hoping to find about this person that you did not already know in the conversations prior to the date? You're not going to know everything. There should be many questions that you should be prepared to ask and answer for the other person. And when you do, the other question is, how much do you share? Do you tell the person everything about you, or do you leave the window open for the conversation to flow as it is and entertain whatever questions come up as a result of the context of the conversation? Well, it depends on what you're looking for from that person. I will tell you that just because you go out on a date with someone does not necessarily mean that you want something particular from them. You may just want to date them. You may just want to have a friend. You may just want to just establish a conversation, a dating practice, and until you figure out what it is about this person you either like or not like, or whether or not they're even worthy of a further consideration. So on this date, when you're out with this person, there's so many different challenges and so many different rules today because we just live in a crazy world. So is it necessary that the person pick you up or you meet them where you're going? That's a question that only you can answer. Is it necessary that you go to a place where there is a crowd or where there will be other people, or are you looking for a more private place where you can engage in personal dialogue with each other without interruptions? Well, I think that it's always a best practice to allow the person to meet you where you're going, unless there's some other extenuating circumstance whereby you feel very comfortable with the person and you can pick them up, they pick you up, you don't have any problems with them knowing where you live, or that kind of thing. You don't have those kind of issues and you feel it's okay, then that's what you do. But I would suggest that certainly, for women in particular, that you meet this person wherever it is that you're going to go, and that you always attend a place where there will be other people. Always pick up the phone and call your girlfriend, call your parents, call your significant, whomever it is in your life, and share with them what your plans are for the evening. Let them know where you're going, let them know who you're going to be with, and let them know what time you're going and what time to expect you back. And that when you get back, they should expect to hear from you along the way that you have returned back home safely. And also, it is a good practice to make sure that the conversations that you have with this person are limited at best, and somewhat guarded, because certainly you want to give them the information that they're going to need to make a reasonable decision about whether or not they want to see you again. and whether or not you are a good candidate for them, and vice versa. So you want to give them the information they need. Do you need to give them all the details about that information? Absolutely not. Only that which is necessary for the moment at hand. Some of that other stuff is for a later conversation, but certainly they should know the most important things that they need to know to make a decision about a second date. And you should be asking a lot of questions. How much money they make, where they work. Are those questions really important? Do you really care about how much money they make? Does that really matter? Is that even a reasonable question? No, it's not. You'll find that out as you go. But certainly you want to know what kind of work they do. You understand? You may not be interested in the full details about how they got there to this job and what was the process by which that may or may not be necessary. If their work is certainly a question that needs to be asked. You want to know that they are working, even at how long they've been on a job. It shows longevity. It shows that commitment, that if they've been on a job for 15 years or for 20 years, or they're changing jobs every 3 months, every 6 months, or whatever. And in some instances, there's a reason for that as well. And it's okay if you ask, what happened or whatever. And if the comment is reasonable and acceptable, then take it as such and not make a big deal out of it. And you certainly want to also have conversations about children, about what the person is looking for. What are they hoping to find? You want to understand that maybe even how they're living. I mean, do you live alone? I mean, do you live with your kids? Or those are reasonable questions. How big is your house? What kind of car? Is that really important? No, it's not. But you do want to know how many children they have. You certainly want to know what's the ages of their children. You do want to know if they live alone or if they're living with a brother, or sister, mother, or cousin, or whatever that looks like. You do want to know what their interests are, what kind of things that they like to do, what kind of places do they like to go. You may even inquire about their friends. Well, what do you and your friends do on your off time or on your off days? What kind of things are you doing? Do you watch football games? Are you interested in ballet? Or are you interested in track and field? Those are reasonable questions. Certainly, you want to know those things like that. But when it comes to ordering the meal or whatever it is you're going to eat, you may have a huge appetite. You may eat an appetizer, an entree, a dessert, and maybe even an after drink, a drink after the meal is done. So is there any consideration given to how much money of the other person's should you be spending? And are you paying Dutch? Are you paying for your meal and he's paying for his, or vice versa? Is that a conversation? It can be, but it doesn't have to be. But I will tell you that if a man takes a woman out on a date, he should expect to pay the bill. There's no he should expect to pay the bill. And he should expect her to be comfortable enough to order whatever it is that she wants based upon the place where they went to. But also, she should be mindful of the fact that she's spending someone else's money, and therefore she should be considerate of the fact that this may be a one-time event, or it could be a later event for a second time. But nevertheless, you should always be mindful that you're spending somebody else's money. And so you might want to hold back and just order what you want, what you think you can eat, and not to the point that you're going to leave stuff on the table and you're not going to eat this, that, or the other. But you should have that conversation and make sure that it's okay and you can do what you need to do. Certainly, when it comes to drinking, let's say the person has 4 or 5 drinks on your first date. Is that too much? Does that suggest something that the person might be an alcoholic or just drink too much? I don't know, but it's certainly one to be notified of and to give some attention to. How long are you going to stay out? Does it suggest anything one way or the other based upon the time that you stay out? And when you go to the place that you have gone to and the conversation is going really good, the energy is good, the vibe is good, and you decide to go somewhere else, and you've already told someone else about where you're going and what you're doing and what time to be expected, should you be calling that person or texting them and telling them that you and this person have decided to do something else and you're going somewhere? Absolutely. Absolutely, you should. What about the red flags? So what happens when you hear things that just don't jive with you? I mean, they're not huge, but they don't jive with you. A person tells you that, hey, I normally drink 2 beers every day after I get off. Is that a red flag? It should be. It should be. If you have to have 2 beers every day after you get off, how much do you drink when you're not working? So yeah, so it's a considerable and a reasonable thought to have. What a person does for entertainment, what kind of entertainment they like. You can even inquire maybe about school, education. Well, hey, where did you go to school? I mean, certainly if you're dating someone and y'all on a date and you see that they have class rings on their fingers, you might want to ask, hey, what is that ring from? Is that your high school ring, your college ring? Or it's okay to ask because the ring is on their finger, so it's okay to ask. What about somebody who has a ring around their ring finger and it's very clear that a ring was recently worn there? Is that a reasonable question to ask about that? It is. It is certainly a reasonable question to ask. Also, do you want to ask about sisters and brothers and those kind of things, about the family, the extended family? Absolutely. There's no reason not to. What about sex? Is that a reasonable conversation for the first date? Absolutely not. By no means should you be having a conversation about sex or about intimacy on the first date. If you want to reserve that for the second date, or you guys have been talking on the phone long enough and texting long enough that you're okay with that, then you're adults, you're grown. If that's where you go and flow, then it's okay. There's no harm and no foul one way or the other. It's just a conversation. But as long as you are comfortable with it and you feel safe to have that conversation, then it's not a problem. So hopefully the date goes really well and you really enjoy yourself and you like the person that you're with. Should you tell that person that you like to see them again? Or should you just end the evening with, well, I really enjoyed myself. I had a good time. Looking forward to seeing you again. Or I hope to see you again. Or, let's talk and just revisit how the date went for you and for me, and we'll have the conversation. And if we decide that we want to see each other again, then at that time, then, we'll consider that. Then that is absolutely the way to handle that. And when the date ends, I think that whatever it is that you plan to do initially is probably all that you need to do. I don't think you need to decide to do something else after you've done what you have already intended to do. Then I think you should not try to get it all in one setting in one night. Whatever the outcome was, it is what it is. You say you were going to dinner and have dinner, and when dinner is over, then part your ways and be cordial and good night. And I really appreciate it. I enjoyed myself and save the rest for another date and another time. But also, make sure that the things that are really important to you come up during this conversation. If you know that you want to have children, you should bring that up. You say, I'm dating. I'm looking for a serious relationship. I like to have children at some point, 2 or 3 children. I don't have any, or I have one already. I'd like to have 2 or 3 more. Do you have any? That should be a conversation because that's really important to you. And if you don't bring those things up that's relative to you, that's really important in that particular time, then you may be able to save yourself some time and the other person some time by not even worrying about going further, because you have already established that in this conversation that you are not going to get what you want because this person does not see this the way that you do. This is totally a revelation to you that this may not be the right person for you. But you should absolutely look forward to the first date. And I think that within the first 2 to 3 weeks of meeting someone, maybe even a month, depending on your schedules, that you guys should absolutely have had that first date. The second date, when should that happen? I don't know. If you really enjoyed the person, the date you had the first time, and you really, really want to get to know this person, then within the next week, then establish another opportunity to meet this person and greet them. And if you went on the last date a place where you wanted to go, ask this person to make the plans and let you know what the plans are. So that way, at least you can see what kind of taste they have, what kind of flavor they have, what kind of things would, how easy it is or clear that they're able to make plans for you guys getting together and doing something, and see if that's something that you are amenable to. At least you understand how they think and what their thought processes are. And during the courses of your conversations, if this person have really been listening to you, then they pretty much have an idea or should have an idea of where to take you or where to go, because they should have heard some of the things that you said that you were interested in or might be interested in. So they should be making plans planned around the conversations that they've had with you about the things that you're interested in. That should tell you an awful lot about this person that you're going on this date with, is that they understand, or you understand, that they have been listening to you and they are cognizant enough to plan something around something that you're going to like, something that you're interested in. So that's some of the best dating advice that I can give you about this first date and about this dating process. Please, as always, subscribe, share, and like, and let's have a conversation. I look forward to your comments for us to further comment about, so that everybody else can know have some dating tips and dating ideas of what they should be looking forward to. As always, God bless and take care.